the courts of the United States ruled against me, that I, as a citizen and a former governor and a veteran, am not allowed to go to court over my Bill of Rights or the Constitution. They said they don't have jurisdiction. Well, my question is, if the federal courts don't have jurisdiction over a constitutional question, then who the hell does?
Americans know that their government will sometimes conduct secret operations, but they don't believe the government ought to be writing secret law.
Again, total power in one person's hands, not the American way. These damn bills that come out here all the damn time come out here at the last second, and I gotta try to figure out how to vote for my people.
Once upon a time, in the recesses of the human imagination, great philosophers of their time envisioned a world where all people are created equal, endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and that among these rights was the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The right of self-determination without interference, of choice regardless of personal consequence, to do what one sees fit with his or her life, for better or for worse. The only caveat was that each individual respect those same rights of others and not infringe upon them. Alas, it was only a concept, a hope, a dream. There were always those that would pervert the dream for their own ill-gotten gains. As this collection of learned men left that building, with their plans finally laid out and accepted, a curious female passerby asked, "What form of government have you given us?" One man answered her, saying, "A republic, ma'am, if they can keep it," knowing full well that this freedom would be difficult to fulfill, let alone maintain. And so from the beginning till today has that dream yet to become an actual reality. A truly remarkable system was devised to allow the people to govern themselves, a system that would only provide a stage for people to resolve their differences without interference, a system that regarded all innocent until proven guilty by a jury of their peers, and unlike a democratic system that was seen as tyranny, where innocence or guilt was determined by a majority vote, guilt could only be found by a unanimously certain decision. This jury of common people not only had the power of guilt or innocence, but also had the power to overturn any law that did not serve the interest of the people, despite the unwavering support of unscrupulously corrupt politicians to the contrary. It was very clear to these philosophers that power corrupts, but absolute power corrupts absolutely. They knew that they could not guarantee that only wise, uncorruptible men would rise to positions of power, and so they knew they had to create a system that would limit the power of all men who would reside there. These limitations and rules, called the Constitution, were the citizens' user manual for how their government should operate. As part of that Constitution was an agreement or promise that a list of rights would for all time be honored as the 10 Commandments that government shall never violate. This contract, the Bill of Rights, was a binding legal document, not subject to change without approval of all parties. Society may have changed, but human nature and the nature of governments has not. Unfortunately, men and institutions of men always break their promises. At the very seconds after the passing of the Constitution, those in government quickly appointed themselves as interpreters of the rights of the people. They not only redefine their rights when expedient, but also redefine the definition of what constitutes who actually is entitled to those rights, to allow the justification of slavery, servitude, and control, yet allowing their elites greater advantage, control, and power over those they would control. Is it fair to say that certain people are attracted to certain vocations? What types of people are attracted to positions of power and authority? Ask anyone what they think of politicians. The average person will probably say that most politicians are dishonest and make promises they never intend to keep, and that their first priority is getting elected or re-elected. So if that is the case, then why do we allow these people to now run our lives? By what kind of acrobatic justification do we allow these people to decide the rules for us? Our founding fathers knew this, of course. They understood that we can never eliminate corrupt men from attaining power, so we must ensure they cannot wield enough power over us to matter, but now they do. Sadly, over the history of our nation, many of us have been convinced that government should have more and more power over our daily lives so that it may more effectively take care of us and do things for us that we should do for ourselves. What we fail to realize is that the government is our child and not our parent. As was most eloquently stated by President Dwight D. Eisenhower, every step we take towards making the state caretaker of our lives, by that much we move towards making the state our master. Look at what we have become. A free, self-determined, resourceful, independent people. Now a dependent, insecure, depressed, easily manipulated, and fearful shadow of our former selves. Adults now have become convinced they must seek permission from the government for a myriad of things for the greater good, unheard of in human history, and allow the lessons of personal responsibility through consequences of personal actions to be destroyed. There is a famous quote that says the road to hell is paved with good intentions, and it could not be more true than today. Those who control perception convince us that we need more control. Yet if we cannot trust our neighbor to open a business or own a gun without a license or permit, why would we trust people in our government to make choices for us and not possibly cause us injury in the process? Many feel that certain problems will never be solved without government intervention. Did children not get educated before government was involved? Did the poor not get help and medical attention from charities and churches? The problems government has been entrusted to solve have never and will never be solved if government remains the sole source of its solution. Racism still exists. Poverty still exists. Health risks still exist. Drug abuse still exists. And these things will continue to exist until individuals rise above them through their own force of will. One of these great philosophers, Benjamin Franklin, stated, "I think the best way of doing good to the poor is not making them easy in poverty, but leading or driving them out of it." Many people have been convinced that humans must be controlled because they are a danger to others. Yet they appoint other people to control them. They appoint politicians and police to control their lives. Yet who controls the politicians and police? Do you? No, you don't. A dog is only loyal to the one who ensures it is fed. If you choose to stop feeding the dog because of a philosophical objection, others will come to ensure you comply, by force if necessary, whether or not you agree. That is not freedom, my friends. Remember that. We the people do still have the power, but we must believe we have the power and exercise that power before others will take us seriously. Adults do not need permission from anyone to pursue their life, liberty, or happiness, to start a business, to speak their mind, to decide what they eat, how big their drink should be, Mr. Bloomberg, or who we should marry. Not a politician, policeman, or city council. Police were entrusted to help keep the peace and serve their community without infringing upon individual unalienable rights, and have failed in that trust. Civil rights, as opposed to unalienable rights, are rights bestowed by civil authorities, and they never had that authority to grant or remove rights from anyone. In this age of information and knowledge, it is time we finally bring to fruition the concepts that our forefathers originally had, but never got to see, a true freedom in America. No one at all, including government, has natural authority over you. Only you have authority over yourself. None are more hopelessly enslaved than those who falsely believe that they are free. You have an obligation to yourself and your family to stand fast and defy anyone or any law that violates your right to self-determination, and defend that right by any means necessary.